So, hello everyone. Today we are learning about the REST APIs in the Spring Boot and how we are created these REST APIs in Spring Boot. Okay, so these are the simple things, or we can say a basic thing in Spring Boot. Okay, so what do we have to do? We have just basically generate a Spring Boot project. As you all know, how we generate the project in Spring Boot. Okay, from the Spring initializer. These four dependencies, as you can see: Spring Data JPA, Spring Boot Starter Web, Spring Boot DevTools, and a Mysql connector. Okay, if you need database, if you parsing it from data from the JSON file, then you don't need MySQL or Starter Data JPA dependencies. Okay, then you need just two dependencies: Spring Starter Web or Spring Boot DevTools if you are using JSON web file. But if you are using database, then you have to select these four dependencies. Okay, so I have already created a project, you can see here. So you also have to add these four dependencies in your project. Okay, and after that I have created a four files. uh, so an entity class, a controller class, a repository class, or a service class. Okay, so these are the four files that I have created already. So now you have to created these four files here already. You can make them. These are totally blank right now, and we will write code here now. So let's start what we are doing in today's lecture. Okay. So in our entity class, as you all know, need what? Uh, as we add here, ID, or a name, or we can say an email also we can add here. Okay, so just add email. Okay, now after that, as you all know, we need a getter and setter or a constructor. So go to the source section. uh, First generate a constructor, a blank constructor. Okay, an empty constructor. Or after that, uh, parameterized constructor we need. So again, go to the generate constructor, select all, and okay, and at last we need getter and setters. Okay, so generate getter and setters, all these, and done. This is all. Okay, so we have completed the entity class. Okay, as much as simple, but before that we need auto generated id. So first of all, made it the id annotation, and now we have to auto generated it. Okay, so for that we need a generated value, or the strategy should be generation type should be what? Auto, because it should be an auto increment. id should be an auto increment, so we have annotated with it, and dot auto, generation type dot auto. Okay, and the main important thing is that we never forget to made an entity class with the entity annotation, because it's always know that entity annotation specifies that this class is an entity class. Okay, so whenever a Spring Boot project runs, it find that where is the entity class, and then it will find the entity class with the entity annotation, and pick the data from here. Okay, so basically, because Spring Boot is totally dependent on these annotations, so it will search with the help of annotation. Okay, so as simple as that. Now uh, go to the repository class. Okay, and as you always know, what in the repository class we are doing, it is always an interface that extends JPA repository or MySQL repository. So here we know we do the JPA repository, and what is our entity? So our entity is entity. Okay, our entity is entity, and the type of the entity is method long. uh, so that's it. Okay, so we just add a entity name or a type. Okay, type of our id. Okay, so that's it. In our uh, repository class we have to just add this much. Okay, so after that we have to go to the service class, the main class. Okay, so I think I forgot it, the mark with the repository annotation. Always remember these annotations. Okay, so now this is perfect. Now go to the service class, the important class for that, because we write all the logic here. Okay, so for a service class, first of all we have to auto wire or auto add something here. What we have to auto wire the repository. Okay, so our repository name is repository. Okay, and we can give it a name, a repo. Okay, so now you can see I have auto wired a repository here. So what does this auto wired mean? Okay, so basically auto wired is it will pick up another file and put here. Okay, where we are using it. So here what we are doing, we are picking up the repository, and for a reference we have put here in service, because if we need anything or we have to send anything in the repository, so we can directly send that. We don't give the path of that file. Okay, it will directly, we can see we are giving the reference here with the help of auto wired. Okay, after auto wiring that one, uh, we are creating some put post methods. So first of all we are creating a put method, or we can see we are making a create a user. Okay, so create user method we are creating here, and here we passing the entity. Okay, then what we have to return something, or what we are returning here, you can see with the help of repository we have a save method, or what we are saving here is our user. Okay, so we are saving that. Now this is simply we are creating a post method. We just need a controller after that, and this is the logic behind the creating a user just with the help of the save method with the help of repository. So that is why we are creating auto wiring a repository here, because we can use the functions of that repository method. Okay, so now after this one we have to create a get method. Okay, so how we can getting a method for the get method, so we can say get user method we have create. Okay, for the get method we have to just simply return again a repository. We know repo, uh, we have to find all. Okay, that find all user, and that's much simple it is. Okay, so this is our get method to finding all the users. Okay, after that we have to create a update method or delete method. So first of all we create a delete method. Okay, so delete user. Okay, so delete user with the help of uh, we can say an user id. Okay, so we are deleting with the help of user id. Again repo dot delete by id. Okay, uh, these all are the repository function. Okay, so delete by id, and here we have pass what user id. Okay, So after creating a delete by id method, okay, so at last we have to create a put method or a update method, we can say. So just create that. Okay, we need entity for that, or update user. Okay, so for that again we need a user id for that, or what we need for updating any user. We can update it by the its id or the entity. From that entity, what we need entity, so need one more variable, we can say user details. Okay, so now how we are getting that things, okay, or updating the user. So we have to, with the help of entity. Okay, so again the repository dot find by id method for searching it by id. So user id I have to pass here, or that get method. Okay, so this is how we are getting this. Okay, now after that, from this thing, we need again a user. With the help of that user which we are created, we have to set a name for that employee, because we have to update its name now. So for that, uh, user details, that variable we have taken, or so after set up the name, we have to again uh, set the email. So again with the same user details dot get email function, we are using that. And at last we have to just return that same thing, repository dot save method, and in this save method we have to pass that user. Okay, as much as simple. Okay, so this is how we have created a put, post, get, delete, and put method. Okay, so now at last we need a repository class for that. Okay, so just go to the repository class, or again I think we have to forget the annotate the service class with the service annotation. Okay, so always remember these things. Okay, now go to the repository. Oh, sorry, we have done the repository. uh, Go to the controller class. So now in the controller class, first of all, here I have just first annotate with a rest controller. Okay, because I have always forget these things. So just this time we have to first annotate with the rest controller annotation. Okay, so now we start the things. First of all, again we have to auto wired here. What, and you know what we have to auto wired here this time? This time we need a you can see we need a service class, because these functions we have mapped with the control class. So there we need a service class. Okay, so we have to annotate service in the controller class. Okay, so again uh, what, private or service class. So name the service, or we can say again service, just say that. Okay, so now after that we have to create a post mapping first of all. So creating that one with the help of entity, or we can say create user function. Okay, you all know how to create this one with the help of request body. Okay, so in the request body, what we need an entity, or what that entity name at that time. I thought in the post method we have an en name. Yeah, so get the name same here. Okay, so now after auto-wiring a service here, now we are creating our first post mapping, and this is how we are creating a post mapping, like public and the entity or entity class name, and just a function like a create user as our function. And with the help of request body, we have attached our entity class, uh, entity class. Okay, now what we have to return here, uh, we have to just return that what from the service class we have writing the function in our service class, no? Okay, that's why we are annotated the service function here, auto wired here. Okay, that's why, because we can use the service class methods here. Okay, and we have a create user method there. Okay, as you can see, in our service class we have a create user function. Okay, so for using that function here, or the service class in our controller class, we auto wired this service class here. Okay, and of course this is a post mapping, so we have to create what post mapping annotation. Okay, and what we can say it you can say simply a user. Okay, this is a path we have given, slash user path. Okay, now we are creating a get mapping to get all the users. Okay, so what is a path slash users? Okay, you can give any name, or now this is how we are creating a get mapping here. So a list of what the entity, and create a function like read users. Okay, read users, we are reading the all the users list from here. So you can create any name function, or just return what, again a service class dot, we have a method get users there. Okay, so again in our service class you can see a get user method, we have get user method, this one. Okay, so we are creating this one, and now after that we are creating a delete mapping method. Okay, so delete map, oh sorry, uh, delete mapping. Okay, so we can say what, because we are deleting any employee with the, or any user with their id, so user slash uh, id we can give it, we have id na in the service class. Okay, user id we have given there, so we just give a user id. Okay, so now public void delete user, any function we can again create, or with the help of path variable. Okay, we can give a path variable value, and the value should be what, user id, with the help of, because we are using the user id, and long what id. Okay, we have taken the id and its type. Okay, now we have using what, service class dot, we have a delete user, so just delete it by id. Okay, so this is how we have, okay sorry, this is how we create a delete mapping also, and at last we are creating a put mapping. Uh, for put mapping, we have again uh, we are also updating any value in the put mapping. Uh, we can say uh, what update method basically it is. So okay, so again we are updated with the user ID. In here we can see in the user ID we have taken here. So update it with the user ID. So public and our entity read user, okay, or with the help of path variables. So we have to give it a value of path variable like we have given here user ID in a path variable, or give it a ID type, okay, and we have taken the two parameters there. As you know, you can see there, okay. Another type is the entity type, where we have uh, entity type, you can see user details we have taken there, okay. So here in the entity type we can again take that user details, okay. So this is what we have done there. Or now we just return what again with the help of the service method. We have a update user method there, okay. So in update user method we have one method is id, or one parameter is id, and second parameter is user details, okay. So this is how uh, we have created our controller class, and that's it for that, okay. So now as you can see we have created our controllers, and with the help of these controllers we are generating the outputs or see what is happening. But all of these, before we have to create our application.properties file. You can see here in our resource folder, you can see our application.properties file. In this file, now this is empty, but in this file we have to write the code to connect with the database. So I will just add the data. So here I have written a code for to basically it connects with the MySQL database. Okay, so this is a simple code. You can find it anywhere on the internet. Okay, so here is simply we can say it DDL auto command. Uh, it will basically create a table for us automatically, of course, with the help of JPA hibernate. Okay, and this is the command for data source URL, giving the URL of our MySQL port number 3306 on which our MySQL is running, and this is our database name, our username, our password, and this is the driver class name, okay. So this is the basic things we have to need before running our project to connect it with MySQL database, okay. So now uh, we have run the project now, okay. So if we run the project, you can see it will simply run on port number 8080, okay. So you can see Tomcat started on the port number 8080. Look it here, okay. So now first of all we have to see that in the database we have getting these tables or not, okay. So uh, basically when we run the auto ddl command in the application.properties file, it will automatically create a table with the name of your entity class, okay. So here the class name of our entity class is entity itself, okay. We can give it any name, but we can name it entity. So in our database we can see that we are getting the same name in our database, okay. So I am on my database, and now I am accessing my database, okay. So to access my database, I have to write this command. Okay, so I am inside my database now. Okay, so if I say so databases, so I have these much of databases, so I have to use what student database. Okay, and now I want to say see the tables, so just write a command show tables, and here we can see we are getting the entity table here. Okay, so if you want to see the structure of this entity table, just write this command desc, description of the table name. Okay, and just hit enter. You can see we are getting three fields: id, email or name. Okay, so if you see inside this table, from the entity table, now we are getting nothing because we don't enter anything inside it. You can see empty set. Okay, so let's now go to our postman. Okay, go to the port number 8080/user. First of all, we are getting a post request because we have to enter data. Okay, so for entering the data in the JSON format, we have to just enter a name or email because IDs are auto generated. Okay, so name we can see, and email. Okay, uh, anything we can give it. Okay, so if you hit the send button, you can see we are getting here id automatically auto generated, name or email. Okay, so if we go to our database now and again write the command select all from entity, so now you can see the data we have insert from the postman, we are getting here into the this table. Okay, before that when we are running this command, it will say that it is an empty set. Okay, okay, so if we are trying to uh, enter one more data. Okay, so and just send it. Now just run this command again. You can see we are getting both the tables. Okay, so now we can do one thing more, a get command. Okay, so that we are getting these all things or not. Okay, we have the users method for that. If I this send this, you can see we are getting both the data from the database. Okay, or if I'm deleting anything from there. Okay, so how would I delete these things? So with the help of the user, or after the user we are giving the id. Let's see in our controller class, we can see how we are deleting anything. Delete user path, or after that a user id we are giving. Okay, so here we can see user or id, we have two or three, we have the ids na, id number 2 or 3. So if you want to delete the id number 3, okay, just hit a send button, so it will say status 200. Okay, means it is deleted. So now if we run select all from the entity table, you can see we are getting only one data and id 3 is deleted from here. Okay, so this is how we are creating the simple REST APIs for, you can say, CRUD APIs in the Spring Boot. Okay, so this is as much as simple. Okay, so we are learning more things in Spring Boot in the further videos. So first of all, thank you for this video, and if you like the this video, please like this and subscribe this channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.